Yes, Denise, the stupid girl actually put the condo in her name only. Can you believe it? Patricia Carter's voice dripped with venom as she paced across my bedroom floor, her designer heels clicking mere inches from my face. In 6 months, we'll have her sign it over. Derek's already working on breaking her down. By Christmas, that $2 million property will be ours, and this pathetic little nobody will be back in whatever hole she crawled out of. I pressed my hand against my mouth, silencing the scream building in my throat. My white wedding dress crumpled beneath me, dust coating the veil I'd spent months choosing. The man I'd married 4 hours ago was a con artist, and I was hiding under our bed listening to his mother plot my destruction. But before I tell you how I made them pay, please subscribe to this channel and follow my story until the very end. Comment what city you're watching from so I can see how far my story has traveled. Because what happened next changed everything. The champagne bubbles were still dancing in my veins when I slipped away from our wedding reception. Derek Carter, my brand new husband, was surrounded by his groomsmen near the bar, and I'd told him I needed to freshen up before we left for our honeymoon suite. But I had other plans. Madison, you're absolutely crazy. My best friend Rachel had laughed when I'd told her about the prank idea 3 weeks earlier. Hiding under the bed in your wedding dress. What are you, 12? It'll be hilarious. I'd insisted, already imagining Derek's face when I jumped out. He'll search the whole suite calling for me, getting all worried, and then I'll pop out and we'll laugh about it for years. Rachel had shaken her head, but she'd been smiling. You two are perfect for each other, both total goofballs. I thought we were perfect too. I really did. The honeymoon suite at the Riverside Grand Hotel was everything I'd dreamed of. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Chattahoochee River. A California king bed with crisp white linens, champagne chilling in a silver bucket. I'd specifically requested this room, spent an extra $3,000 on it, wanting everything to be perfect for our first night as husband and wife. I kicked off my heels and got down on my hands and knees, gathering the massive skirt of my dress. Getting under that bed was harder than I'd anticipated. The frame was lower than I'd expected, and my dress kept catching on everything. I had to army crawl, pulling myself forward on my elbows, feeling decidedly less graceful than I'd imagined. This better be worth it, I muttered, finally wedging myself into position. Dust bunnies tickled my nose. The box springs pressed against my back. My veil was already tangled somewhere above my head. I pulled out my phone, checked the time. Derek said he'd be up in 15 minutes right after he thanked his parents one more time. I opened my camera app, wanting to record his reaction. That's when I heard the door open. My heart jumped with excitement. I pressed record, ready to capture the moment. But the footsteps were wrong. Too sharp, too precise. The distinctive click, click, click of expensive heels, not Derek's dress shoes. Yes, Denise, I'm in the room now. Patricia Carter's voice echoed through the suite. My mother-in-law. No, the bride isn't here. Probably taking selfies in the bathroom or something. These millennial girls always with their phones. I frowned. Why was Patricia in our honeymoon suite? Derek said she was leaving right after the reception, driving back to her house in Buckhead. Hold on, let me sit down. These shoes are killing me. The bed dipped above me as Patricia settled on the edge, her weight pressing the box springs lower. I had to flatten myself completely against the floor. Now where were we? Oh yes, the plan. Something cold slithered down my spine. Yes, Denise, the stupid girl, actually put the condo in her name only. Can you believe it? Derek played her perfectly. Told her it would be more romantic if the deed was just in her name, that it showed he trusted her completely. The idiot ate it right up. My blood turned to ice. The condo's worth at least $2.3 million. Patricia continued, her voice taking on a satisfied purr. Prime location in downtown Atlanta, recently renovated. Derek found it, negotiated the price, arranged everything. But little Miss Naive signed all the papers with just her name. In 6 months, maybe a year tops, Derek will start complaining. Says she's not the woman he thought she was. Not compatible. I'll play my part too. Tell everyone the daughter-in-law doesn't respect me, can't cook, keeps a filthy house, you know the routine. I couldn't breathe. This had to be a nightmare. This couldn't be real. Then we file for divorce. Patricia said. "We'll claim the condo in court. Derek kept every single receipt showing he paid for it with his money. We've got the bank transfers, everything documented. The girl won't fight back. What's she going to do? Her daddy's just some middle manager at an engineering firm, barely makes $90,000 a year. They live in that sad little apartment in Decatur, for God's sake. She can't afford lawyers like ours." The phone trembled in my hand. I was still recording. Every word, every single poisonous word. "Oh, and get this," Patricia laughed, the sound like broken glass. "The girl's practically an orphan. Mother died when she was 19. She's got nobody. Makes it even easier. Who's going to stand up for her? Her pathetic father. Please." Tears burned behind my eyes, but I didn't make a sound. I couldn't. I was frozen, trapped under this bed in my wedding dress, listening to my life being dismantled by the woman who'd hugged me this morning and called me daughter. You should have seen her today, Denise. So starry-eyed, so in love. The poor fool actually believes Derek adores her. She has no idea he's been planning this for almost a year. Remember when I told you he needed a new investment property? Well, he found the perfect mark. Pretty enough to be believable, naive enough to manipulate, and just wealthy enough to be worth the effort. My fingernails dug into the hardwood floor. The engagement, the romance, the promises. All of it calculated, all of it fake. "Derek's actually quite good at this," Patricia said, pride warming her voice. "Gets it from me, I suppose. I put up with his father for 32 years, played the devoted wife, never let on that I couldn't stand the man. And when he finally had his heart attack, everything went to me. The house, the investments, the life insurance, all mine. Patience, Denise. That's the key to everything. Patience and planning." She'd killed her husband. Maybe not directly, but the way she said it, the satisfaction in her voice. My stomach churned. "Now Derek just needs to play his part," Patricia continued. "Start the gaslighting slowly. Criticize her cooking. Question her spending. Suggest she's not as smart as he thought. Nothing too obvious at first, just enough to erode her confidence. By the time we're ready to file, she'll be so beaten down she won't even fight back. She'll just sign whatever we put in front of her." I wanted to scream. I wanted to crawl out from under this bed and claw her eyes out. But something kept me frozen. Some instinct that told me to stay hidden, to keep recording, to gather every piece of evidence I could. "The beauty of it," Patricia said, "is that Derek will come out looking like the victim. Poor guy married the wrong woman, tried his best, but sometimes love just isn't enough. He'll get sympathy, keep the condo, and be free to do it all over again if he wants. I've already got my eye on the Henderson girl. Her father owns that pharmaceutical company. Now that would be a real score." My phone showed 15 minutes of recording, 15 minutes of confession, 15 minutes of proof. Patricia's phone rang. "Oh, that's Derek now. Hi, sweetheart. Yes, I'm in the room. No, your bride's not here. Probably celebrating with her bridesmaids or something. Don't worry, she can't escape now. She's got the ring on the certificate signed. Done deal. Bird in a cage." Bird in a cage. That's all I was to them. "Just remember what we talked about," Patricia said, her voice hardening. "No weakness from day one. She needs to understand who runs this household. And don't you dare give in to her tears or tantrums. They're all the same, Derek. You give them an inch, they take a mile. Your father learned that lesson too late. Don't make his mistakes." "Yes, Mom, I know. I'll handle it." Even through the phone, I could hear Derek's voice. That voice that had whispered, "I love you," just hours ago. That voice that had promised to cherish me forever in front of 200 people. All lies. "Good boy," Patricia cooed. "I'll get out of here before she comes back. Drive safe coming up. And Derek, I'm proud of you. This is going to set you up beautifully. The condo, the connections through her father's company, everything. Well played, son. Well played." She stood up. The bed groaned as her weight lifted. Her heels clicked toward the door. "Oh, and Denise, I'll call you tomorrow and tell you how the lovebirds' first night went. Should be entertaining. The girl's so naive she probably thinks tonight's going to be magical. She has no idea she just married her worst nightmare." The door opened, closed. Silence. I lay there under the bed, my wedding dress crushing beneath me, and felt my entire world shatter into a million pieces. The girl in the mirror this morning had been so happy, had been glowing, had been absolutely certain she was making the right choice, marrying the right man, starting the perfect life. That girl was an idiot. I closed my eyes, and for a moment I wanted to disappear, to sink through the floor and never come back, to rewind time and unhear everything I just heard. But then something else rose up inside me, something cold and hard and furious. They thought I was weak, naive, a mark, a bird in a cage. They had no idea who they were dealing with. I pulled my phone close and stopped the recording, my hands shaking but steady enough. 16 minutes and 43 seconds. Every word, every plan, every confession. Then I opened my texts and found my father's number. But before I sent anything, I forced myself to think, really think. Patricia was right about one thing. I couldn't just react. I needed to be smart, strategic. If I called my father now, if I ran crying to him about what I'd heard, what would happen? He'd be furious, protective, ready to wage war. But Derek and Patricia had been planning this for a year. They had documentation, receipts, a strategy. I needed my own strategy. I needed to be smarter than them. The door opened again. This time, the footsteps were different, heavier, faster. "Madison, babe, where are you?" "Derek, my husband of 4 hours, my con artist husband." I stayed perfectly still under the bed, barely breathing. "Madison." He walked through the suite, checking the bathroom, the balcony. "This isn't funny, babe. Where'd you go?" The concern in his voice was perfect. If I hadn't heard his mother's confession, I'd have crawled out right now laughing about my silly prank, ready to start our magical honeymoon night. Instead, I watched his shoes pace back and forth across the carpet. "Did you go back downstairs?" he muttered. I heard him pull out his phone. "Hey, have you seen Madison?" "No, she's not in the suite." "Yeah, I'll check the lobby." He left. The door closed. I had maybe 10 minutes before he came back with hotel staff worried about his missing bride. I army crawled out from under the bed, my dress catching on the frame, one of my sleeves tearing. When I finally stood up, I looked in the mirror. Mascara streaked down my face. Dust coated my dress. My veil hung in tatters. I looked like what I was, a bride whose dreams had just died, but I didn't have time for tears, not now. I grabbed my phone and opened my texts. Not to my father, not yet. First, I needed more information. I needed to know exactly what I was dealing with. I texted Rachel, "Emergency. Need you to pull everything you can find on Derek Carter and Patricia Carter. Criminal records, civil suits, property records, everything. Don't ask questions. I'll explain tomorrow. This is life or death. Please." Rachel was an attorney at one of Atlanta's top firms. If anyone could dig up dirt fast, it was her. 3 dots appeared immediately. Then, "Madison, what's wrong? Are you okay?" "Not okay. Can't talk now. Derek's coming back. Please, just do this for me. I need it by morning." "Done. Calling in favors now. Whatever you need." I deleted the messages, then pulled up my photos and uploaded the recording to 3 different cloud services. If they took my phone, if they deleted everything, I'd still have copies. Then I looked around the suite. The champagne, the rose petals, the chocolate-covered strawberries. All of it suddenly looked like props in a con. I heard voices in the hallway. Derek and someone else. Hotel management, probably. I didn't have time to fix my makeup to make myself presentable. I had maybe 30 seconds. I made a choice. I went into the bathroom, turned on the shower, and stepped inside fully dressed, wedding dress and all. The water hit me like ice, soaking through the thousands of dollars worth of silk and lace. I stayed there for 15 seconds, then turned it off. When Derek opened the suite door with the manager, I was standing in the bathroom doorway, dripping wet, my ruined dress clinging to me. "Madison?" Derek rushed over his face, a mask of concern. Perfect concern. Practiced concern. "Baby, what happened? Are you okay?" I looked at him, really looked at him, the man I'd thought I'd known, the man I'd thought I'd loved. "I'm sorry," I said, forcing my voice to shake. "I was trying to surprise you. I thought I'd take a shower before you got here, but I slipped getting in, and my dress got caught on the faucet, and everything got wet, and I'm so sorry I ruined everything." The hotel manager looked relieved that it was just a clumsy bride and not some crisis. "No worries at all, Mrs. Carter. These things happen. We'll send up some robes and towels right away." "Thank you," Derek said, dismissing him with a nod. The door closed, leaving us alone. Derek put his hands on my shoulders, his eyes searching my face. Are you sure you're okay? Did you hit your head? No, I'm fine. Just embarrassed. This dress cost $4,000 and I destroyed it in 5 minutes. Hey, it's just a dress, he said softly, pulling me close. You're what matters, not some dress. I let him hold my face against his chest, feeling his heartbeat. Steady, calm, completely untroubled. Because he had no idea what I knew, he thought his plan was working perfectly. Let's get you out of this wet dress, he murmured. We can hang it up to dry, and tomorrow we'll see if it can be cleaned. Tonight's about us, not about the dress. I pulled back and nodded, trying to look like a flustered bride instead of a woman plotting revenge. He helped me unzip the dress, his fingers gentle on my back. Any other night, this would have been romantic, intimate, special. Tonight it felt like being undressed by a stranger, a dangerous stranger. I'm going to take a real shower, I said. Wash all this off. I'll be quick. Take your time, babe. I'll order some room service. We missed most of dinner with all the toasts and dancing. I went back into the bathroom and closed the door, locked it, turned on the shower again. Then I sat on the toilet lid and let myself shake. Just for a minute. Just long enough to feel the full weight of what had happened. I'd married a con artist. His mother had planned my destruction. Everything I'd believed for the past 2 years had been a lie. But here's what they didn't know: I wasn't who they thought I was either. My father wasn't a mid-level manager. James Hayes was the chief engineering officer of Titan Defense Systems, one of the largest defense contractors in the Southeast. He made $600,000 a year, not 90. And that sad little apartment in Decatur Patricia had mentioned, that wasn't where we lived. That was my aunt's old place that my father kept for sentimental reasons. We actually lived in a $3 million condo in Buckhead, 5 blocks from Patricia's house. I'd deliberately downplayed my background when I met Derek. I'd wanted him to love me, not for my family's money or connections. I'd driven my 5-year-old Honda to our dates instead of my Lexus. I'd talked about my dad's work, vaguely, never mentioning his title or salary. I'd wanted to know Derek would love me even if I had nothing. Turns out he'd thought I had just enough to be worth stealing. The irony would have been funny if it wasn't so devastating. I turned off the water and actually showered this time, washing off the dust and makeup and tears. When I stepped out, I looked at myself in the mirror. My eyes were different now. Harder, colder, good. I was going to need that hardness for what came next. I wrapped myself in one of the hotel robes and opened the door. Derek was sitting on the bed, 2 plates of pasta on the nightstand, a bottle of wine open between them. Feel better? He asked, patting the bed beside him. Much better. I lied, sitting down. I'm sorry I was so clumsy. What a way to start our honeymoon. Hey, it'll be a funny story someday. Remember when you destroyed your wedding dress before we even left the hotel? I smiled. Forced myself to smile. Yeah, hilarious. We ate in silence for a few minutes. The pasta was good. I hadn't realized how hungry I was until I started eating. I'd barely touched anything at the reception, too excited and nervous and busy talking to guests. So, Derek said, setting down his fork, I was thinking about the condo. My stomach clenched. Here it comes. What about it? I kept my voice light, curious, not suspicious. Well, I was thinking maybe we should add my name to the deed, just to make things easier. If something needs to be fixed, or if there are HOA issues, I could handle it without having to track you down for signatures. I took a sip of wine, buying myself time. This was it, the first move in their plan. Patricia had just outlined this exact strategy not even an hour ago. I can handle the HOA, I said carefully. It's not that complicated. I know, babe, but I'm your husband now. We're partners. It just makes sense for both our names to be on everything, right? Show that we're a team. Is that really necessary right now? We just got married today. Can't we talk about paperwork later? Something flickered in his eyes. Irritation, just for a second. Then it was gone, replaced by understanding. Of course, you're right. Sorry, I'm just thinking too practically. Tonight should be about us, not boring legal stuff. He leaned in and kissed me. His lips were soft, familiar. 2 days ago, I would have melted into this kiss. Would have let it lead where it naturally led on a wedding night. Now I felt nothing but cold calculation. I pulled back gently. I'm exhausted. Today was so long, and with the dress disaster, I think I just need to sleep. Is that okay? Disappointment crossed his face, but he covered it quickly. Of course, it's been a crazy day. Sleep sounds good. We got into bed, and Derek wrapped his arms around me, pulling me close. I love you, Mrs. Carter, he whispered into my hair. Mrs. Carter. I'd been so happy to take his name this morning. Now it felt like a brand. I love you too, I whispered back and hated myself for the lie. But it wasn't really a lie, was it? I loved who I thought he was. The Derek I'd fallen for 2 years ago. The one who brought me coffee in bed and left silly notes in my work bag and danced with me in the kitchen. That Derek didn't exist. Had never existed. I lay there in the dark, Derek's breathing eventually evening out as he fell asleep, and I planned. Tomorrow, I'd get the information from Rachel. I'd learn everything there was to know about Derek and Patricia Carter. Every scheme, every victim, every lie. Then I'd talk to my father. Not to ask him to save me, but to ask him to help me protect myself, to transfer assets, to build a fortress they couldn't penetrate. And then I'd play their game. I'd be the naive little wife they expected. I'd let Derek think his manipulation was working. I'd let Patricia think her plan was proceeding perfectly. But I'd be gathering evidence, building my case, preparing for the moment when I'd drop the hammer and destroy them both. They thought they were playing me. They had no idea I was about to play them right back. Around 3 a.m, Derek's phone buzzed on the nightstand. I couldn't see who was calling, but I heard him answer in a whisper. Yeah, Mom. She's asleep. It went fine. She bought the story about adding my name to the deed. I'll bring it up again in a few days, wear her down gradually. No, she doesn't suspect anything. She's completely clueless. My eyes stayed closed. My breathing stayed even. Every word was another nail in their coffin. The lawyer said it'll take about 6 months minimum to establish the relationship before we can file. Derek continued. We need to show we tried to make it work. Don't worry, I can fake it that long. It's not like she's unbearable or anything, just boring. God, the way she talks about her job like designing ventilation systems is fascinating. I want to shoot myself. He'd always seemed so interested when I talked about my work, asked questions, seemed impressed. All fake. Every moment. Yeah, I'll start the criticism next week. Nothing too harsh at first. Just little comments. Plant seeds of doubt. Make her question herself. By the time we're ready to file, she'll be so insecure she won't even fight back. He hung up and slipped back into bed, pressing against my back. I lay there trembling with rage and counted down the days until I'd make them both pay for every lie, every manipulation, every cruel word. They wanted to play games, fine. Game on. I woke up at 6, Derek's arm still draped across my waist like a chain. The morning light filtered through the curtains, painting everything in soft gold, and for just a second, before I fully remembered, everything felt normal. Then reality crashed back, and my stomach twisted. I slipped out of bed, carefully grabbed my phone, and locked myself in the bathroom. 3 messages from Rachel, all sent around 4 a.m. Madison, what I found is bad. Really bad. Call me as soon as you wake up. Don't talk to Derek until we've spoken. I mean it. Do not talk to him. My hands shook as I dialed her number. She picked up on the first ring. Thank God. Are you alone? In the bathroom. Derek's still asleep. What did you find? Where do I even start? Rachel's voice was tight controlled. Derek Carter has been married twice before. Both marriages ended in divorce within 18 months. Both times he walked away with significant assets. The first wife was a dentist. He convinced her to refinance her practice with him as co-signer, then claimed half the value in the divorce. The second wife owned a boutique marketing firm. Same pattern, got his name on everything, then filed claiming he'd contributed financially to her success. I sat down on the edge of the bathtub, my legs suddenly weak. Oh my God. It gets worse. Patricia Carter was investigated 3 years ago for insurance fraud. Nothing stuck, but the details are damning. Her husband died of a sudden heart attack, and she'd taken out 3 separate life insurance policies on him in the 6 months before his death. Total payout was $2.8 million. She killed him. I can't prove that, but yes, I think she did. And Madison, there's more. I found a sealed juvenile record for Derek. My contact couldn't get the details, but there was an arrest when he was 17. Something involving theft and fraud. I closed my eyes. This is a family business. Exactly. They're professional con artists. They target women with assets, romance them, marry them, and systematically steal everything. Madison, you need to get out of that hotel room right now. No. What do you mean, no? This man is dangerous. His mother might be a murderer. I know, but if I run, they win. They'll spin some story about how I was unstable, how the marriage was a mistake, and they'll still try to take the condo. Rachel, I have evidence. I recorded Patricia last night. She laid out their entire plan. Silence. Then, you recorded her? How? I was hiding under the bed. Long story, but I have 16 minutes of her confessing everything. The plan to take the condo, the gaslighting strategy, even her talking about killing her husband. Send it to me right now, every copy you have. I did, waiting while the files uploaded. What do we do with this? We build a case. But Madison, you have to be careful. If they realize, if they even suspect they could get violent. Patricia killed once already. I'll be careful, but I'm not running. I'm going to beat them at their own game. You're talking about staying married to him, playing along. Just long enough to protect myself and gather more evidence. A few weeks, maybe a month. Long enough to transfer assets, document everything, build an airtight case. Rachel was quiet for a long moment. You're braver than I am. I'm angrier than you are. There's a difference. We talked through the strategy. What I needed to do, who I needed to call, how to protect myself legally and financially. By the time I hung up, I had a plan. Step 1, call my father. James Hayes answered on the second ring. Morning, Princess. How's the honeymoon suite you and Derek sleeping in? Dad, I need your help, and I need you to not freak out. The warmth drained from his voice instantly. What happened? I told him everything. The hiding under the bed, Patricia's confession, Derek's phone call, Rachel's research, all of it spilling out in a rush of words that probably didn't make complete sense, but my father listened without interrupting. When I finished, there was silence. Then, I'm going to kill him. Dad, no. That's exactly what we can't do. We have to be smart about this. Smart Madison, this man conned you. He married you under false pretenses. That's fraud. That's criminal. I know, and we're going to make sure he pays for it. But legally, strategically, I need you to help me protect our assets, not commit murder. I heard him take a long, shaky breath. What do you need? I need you to transfer your company shares that were supposed to be my inheritance. Put them in my name now today. I need the apartment in Decatur deeded to me. I need every asset we have locked down so tight they can't touch it. Consider it done. I'll have my attorney drop the papers this morning. But Madison, you need to come home. Don't stay with him. I have to, at least for a few days. If I leave now, they'll know something's wrong. I need them to think everything is going according to plan. I don't like this. Neither do I. But it's the only way to protect everything and make sure they face consequences. Dad, trust me. Please. Another long silence. Your mother would be so proud of you right now, and so scared, just like I am. Tears burned my eyes. I miss her. I know, baby. So do I. She always said you had a steel spine under all that sweetness. Guess she was right. We talked through the details. He'd meet with his attorney at 9. By noon, the shares would be transferred, the apartment deeded over, and every asset I might inherit would be legally protected. Derek and Patricia would find nothing to steal. One more thing, I said. Don't tell anyone. Not Aunt Sarah, not your secretary, nobody. This stays between us, Rachel, and your attorney. If word gets out, if Derek hears even a whisper, it's over. Understood. Madison, be careful. If you feel unsafe for even a second, you call 911. Promise me. I promise. I hung up and stared at myself in the mirror. My eyes were red-rimmed, my hair tangled. I looked like I'd been through hell. Good. That worked with my story about the dress disaster. I splashed water on my face, brushed my teeth, and opened the bathroom door. Derek was awake, sitting up in bed with his phone. He looked up when I came out, and his smile was so genuine, so warm, that for a second I almost forgot he was a monster. "Morning, beautiful. How'd you sleep?" "Okay, still tired." I climbed back into bed, keeping distance between us. He noticed. Of course he noticed. "You feeling okay? You seem off." "Just processing everything, I guess. Yesterday was so overwhelming, and I'm embarrassed about the dress." "Hey, forget about the dress. I barely remember what you were wearing anyway. I only remember how beautiful you looked." The lie came so easily to him, so smooth, so practiced. "Derek, can I ask you something?" "Anything." "Why did you want to put your name on the condo? Last night you seemed really focused on that." His expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. "I told you, just makes things easier. We're married now. We should share everything, right?" "But it's my condo. I bought it before we even met." "I know, babe, and I'm not trying to take it from you. I just think married couples should have everything in both names. Shows trust." "Do you not trust me?" "What? No, of course I trust you. Where's this coming from?" I let my voice get smaller, more uncertain, playing the role Patricia expected. "I don't know. I just felt like you were pushing last night and it made me uncomfortable." He reached for my hand, his touch gentle. "Madison, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to push. We don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. It's just, you know, my mom always told me that secrets and separate finances are what kill marriages. But if you're not ready, we'll wait." Bringing up Patricia. "Perfect. What does your mom think about me?" "She loves you, thinks you're perfect for me." Another lie. So many lies. She seemed a little cold at the reception, like she was judging me. Derek laughed, and it sounded so real. "That's just her face. She's actually really happy. She told me last night that she's proud I found someone like you." I wanted to vomit. "Really? Really? She thinks you're sweet and genuine. Said I'm lucky. Lucky to have found a mark worth $2 million. We ordered breakfast from room service, and Derek was charming throughout, asking about my plans for the day, talking about the honeymoon in Maui we'd scheduled for next month, acting like the devoted husband. But I watched him carefully now, noticing things I'd missed before. The way his smile never quite reached his eyes. The way he touched me like he was checking off boxes on a list. The way he asked questions about my father's work, probing for information, while pretending to just be interested. Every moment was calculated. Every word was a weapon. Around 10, my phone rang. Rachel. "I need to take this," I told Derek. "It's about work." "On your honeymoon, tell them you're busy." "It'll just take a second." I went out on the balcony and closed the door. "Hey, the documents are ready," Rachel said. "Your father moved fast. Everything's protected. The shares are in your name. The apartment's deeded over, and I've filed paperwork to establish the condo as separate property acquired before marriage. Even if Derek tries to claim it in a divorce, he won't have a leg to stand on." Thank God. But Madison, I found something else. Derek has a storage unit in College Park, rented under his name. I'm betting that's where he keeps evidence from his previous cons. Documents, records, maybe even items he stole from his ex-wives. How do we get inside? We don't, not legally, but I'm working on getting a warrant, if we can prove he's committed fraud before it strengthens your case. How long will that take? A week, maybe 2. Can you hold on that long? I looked back through the glass door at Derek sitting on the bed scrolling through his phone, probably texting his mother about how well the manipulation was going. I can hold on as long as it takes. Call me every day. Check in. If I don't hear from you, I'm sending the police. Deal. I went back inside and Derek looked up. Everything okay with work? Yeah, just a question about a project deadline. All sorted. He patted the bed next to him. Come here. We should talk about something. My stomach clenched. Okay. I sat down and he took both my hands in his. I've been thinking about what you said earlier, about feeling pressured about the condo. I want you to know that I would never try to take anything from you. You're my wife. I love you. Everything I do is about building our future together, not about taking from you." The gaslighting was starting, making me doubt what I'd heard, what I'd felt. "I know," I said softly. "I'm sorry I was weird about it. I think I'm just stressed." "Of course you are. Planning a wedding is exhausting, and then the dress thing last night. You're probably overwhelmed." "Maybe." "Tell you what, why don't we head home today instead of staying another night? You can relax in your own space, and we'll save the big honeymoon for Maui next month. How does that sound? Home, to the condo he wanted to steal, where he could start his campaign of criticism and control in private, away from the hotel staff and security cameras." "That sounds good." I lied. We checked out around noon, and Derek insisted on driving. I watched Atlanta pass by the windows, thinking about how different this ride home should have been. Should have been filled with laughter and inside jokes and plans for our future. Instead, I was planning how to divorce the man sitting next to me without losing everything I owned. He reached over and took my hand while he drove. "You're quiet." "Just thinking." "About what? Everything? The wedding? Us? The future?" "Having second thoughts." He said it like a joke, but I heard the edge underneath. "No, just trying to process that we're actually married now. It's a big change." "Best change of my life," he said, squeezing my hand. I squeezed back and hated myself for it. We pulled into the parking garage of my building, and Derek grabbed our bags from the trunk. "Home sweet home." My phone buzzed. A text from my father. "Everything's done. You're protected. Be careful." I deleted it immediately. Inside the condo, everything looked exactly as we'd left it 2 days ago. Champagne glasses in the sink from our celebration the night before the wedding. My makeup scattered across the bathroom counter. Normal life frozen in time before everything exploded. "I'm going to unpack," Derek said, heading to the bedroom with our suitcases. I stood in the living room looking around at the space I'd bought 3 years ago with money I'd saved from my engineering job. 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking downtown Atlanta. My sanctuary, my achievement. And Derek wanted to steal it. My phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello? Mrs. Carter. This is Detective Sharon Martinez with Atlanta PD. I need to speak with you about Derek Carter. Is he there with you?" My blood ran cold. "Yes, he's in the other room. What's this about?" "I can't discuss details over the phone, but we've reopened an investigation into his activities. Can you come to the station? Alone." "When?" "As soon as possible. And Mrs. Carter, don't tell your husband about this call, for your own safety." She hung up before I could respond. I stood there, phone in my hand, trying to process. The police were investigating Derek, which meant they knew something, which meant I wasn't alone in this fight. But it also meant Derek was even more dangerous than I'd thought. Who was that? Derek appeared in the doorway and I jumped. Spam call, some scam about my car warranty. He studied my face for a second too long. "You look pale. You feeling okay?" "Just tired. I think I'm going to take a nap." "Good idea. I'll run to the store, grab some groceries. We've got nothing in the fridge." "Okay." He kissed my forehead, grabbed his keys, and left. The second the door closed, I called the number back. Detective Martinez answered immediately. "I can come now," I told her. "He just left." "I'll send a car. Don't drive yourself. If he's tracking your car, we don't want him to know where you went." "He's tracking my car." "We found spyware on his second wife's vehicle. Be cautious of everything, Mrs. Carter. I'll explain more when you get here." 20 minutes later, an unmarked police car picked me up 3 blocks from my building. Detective Martinez was a woman in her mid-40s with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. "Thank you for coming," she said as we drove. "I know this must be frightening." "What's going on? Why are you investigating Derek?" His second wife filed a complaint 6 months ago, said he'd stolen over $400,000 from her business. We couldn't prove it at the time, but we've been watching him. When he applied for a marriage license with you, we were alerted. You've been watching us. We had surveillance on him, yes. Mrs. Carter, Derek, and his mother have conned at least 5 women that we know of, possibly more. They're sophisticated, careful, and dangerous. I pulled out my phone and opened the recording. I have something you need to hear." I played Patricia's confession, all 16 minutes. Detective Martinez's expression grew darker with every word. When it finished, she looked at me with something like awe. "How did you get this?" "I was hiding under the bed, playing a prank on my husband. Instead, I overheard his mother plotting my destruction." "Mrs. Carter, this recording is gold. This is exactly what we need to arrest them both." "Both?" Patricia Carter has been the mastermind behind all of it. Derek is just the pretty face. She finds the targets, plans the cons, coaches him through every step. Without her, he's nothing. A police officer who'd been manipulating vulnerable women for years with his mother pulling the strings. It was worse than I'd imagined. "What happens now?" I asked. "Now you go home and act normal. Don't let them know you suspect anything. We'll use your recording to get warrants for their financial records, phone records, everything. Within a week, we'll have enough to arrest them. But you have to be careful. If they realize you're onto them, they'll run. Or worse." "Worse?" Detective Martinez met my eyes. "Patricia Carter killed her husband. We're sure of it, even though we can't prove it. If she thinks you're a threat to her freedom, she won't hesitate to hurt you." The fear I'd been pushing down all day suddenly crashed over me. "Maybe I should leave. Go stay with my father. If you leave suddenly, they'll know something's wrong. Just be careful. Don't eat or drink anything you didn't prepare yourself. Don't be alone with Patricia. Keep your phone on you at all times, and if anything feels wrong, call 911 immediately." She dropped me off 3 blocks from my building, and I walked home slowly, my mind spinning. 1 week. I had to pretend everything was fine for 1 week. Derek was in the kitchen when I got back unpacking groceries. "Hey, where'd you go? I texted you." "Just walked to clear my head, needed fresh air." "Your phone was off." My blood went cold. He'd been tracking me. "Battery died." "You should charge it. I worry when I can't reach you." The concern in his voice was perfect, loving, controlling. "I will. I'm going to take that nap now." I went to the bedroom, closed the door, and plugged in my phone. 3 texts from Derek, all sent while I was in the police car. "Where are you?" "Madison, answer me." "This isn't funny." He'd panicked when he couldn't track me, which meant he was monitoring my location constantly. I opened my phone settings and found it immediately. A tracking app I'd never installed buried in my system files. He must have put it on my phone weeks ago, maybe months. I wanted to delete it, but that would alert him. Instead, I left it, making a mental note to be careful about where I went. The bedroom door opened. Derek stood there watching me. "You sure you're okay? You're acting strange." "I'm fine, just overwhelmed. The wedding, moving in together, officially everything." He sat on the bed next to me. "Madison, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me." My heart raced. "Okay. Do you trust me?" "Of course I do." "Then why won't you add my name to the condo deed? Why are you holding back?" Here it was, the pressure starting, just like Patricia had planned. "I'm not holding back. I just don't see why it's necessary right now." "Because we're married. Because married people share everything. Unless you don't really see this as a permanent thing. Derek, we got married yesterday. I see it as permanent." "Then prove it. Add my name to the deed. Show me you trust me." The manipulation was textbook. Make me feel guilty for having boundaries. Make me prove my love by giving him what he wanted. "Can we talk about this later? I really am exhausted." His jaw tightened, just for a second. Then he smiled. "Of course. Rest. We'll talk later." He left, closing the door softly, and I lay there staring at the ceiling, counting down the days until the police arrested him and this nightmare ended. 1 week, 7 days. I could survive 7 days. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Stop digging or you'll regret it." I sat up, my hands shaking. Someone knew I'd been to the police station. Someone was watching me. I texted back, "Who is this?" No response. I called Detective Martinez. "Someone just threatened me." "Forward me the text. We'll trace the number. And Mrs. Carter, don't go anywhere alone. Stay in public places. This just got more dangerous." She hung up and I sat there on my bed in the condo I'd bought with my own money and realized I was a prisoner in my own home. Derek knocked on the door. "Madison, my mom wants to come over for dinner. She wants to celebrate with us properly." "That okay?" "Patricia, coming here tonight?" "Sure." I called back, my voice barely steady. "That's fine." 7 days suddenly felt like a lifetime. Patricia arrived at 6 carrying a casserole dish and wearing a smile that made my skin crawl. She swept into my condo like she owned it, kissing Derek on the cheek and giving me a brief, calculating look. "Madison, darling, you look exhausted. Marriage already wearing you down." She laughed, but there was an edge to it. "Just tired from the wedding. It was a long day." "Well, I brought my famous chicken casserole. Derek's favorite since he was a boy. I thought we could have a nice family dinner, just the 3 of us." Family. The word felt like poison. Derek took the casserole to the kitchen, leaving me alone with Patricia. She walked slowly around my living room, touching things, picking up picture frames, examining my belongings like an appraiser, valuing inventory. "This is a lovely place," she said, running her finger along my bookshelf. "Must have cost a fortune. What did you say you paid for it?" I didn't. "Oh, don't be modest. Derek told me everything. 2 bedrooms, downtown location, those gorgeous windows. I'd guess at least $500,000, maybe more." She was fishing, trying to establish the exact value of what they planned to steal. "I'd rather not discuss finances. It feels tacky." Patricia's smile tightened. "Of course, dear. I didn't mean to pry. It's just that Derek and I are very close. We share everything. I'm sure you'll get used to that." Derek called from the kitchen. "Mom, do you want wine with dinner? Red if you have it?" I went to help Derek, needing to escape Patricia's presence for even a minute. In the kitchen, Derek was opening cabinets, searching for wine glasses. "Top shelf left side," I told him. He reached up and I noticed something. A small cut on his hand, recent still red. "What happened to your hand?" He glanced at it. "Oh, that. Cut it on a box cutter at the storage unit yesterday. No big deal." Storage unit. The one Rachel had mentioned, where he kept evidence from his other cons. "I didn't know you had a storage unit." "Just some old stuff from before we met. Childhood things, you know. Mom keeps bugging me to go through it." Another lie. Always more lies. We brought the wine to the dining table and Patricia was already seated at the head in the chair I usually used. My chair. In my home. "This is cozy," she said as Derek set down plates. "Like a real family." And we ate in uncomfortable silence for a few minutes, Patricia watching me over her wine glass, studying every movement I made. "So Madison," she said finally, "Derek tells me you work as an engineer? How quaint." "I design HVAC systems for commercial buildings. It's actually quite complex." "I'm sure it is, dear. It's just so unusual for a woman. Most girls your age want something more feminine, fashion, interior design, that sort of thing." Derek jumped in. "Mom, plenty of women are engineers now. It's not the 1950s. Of course, of course. I didn't mean anything by it. I just worry that such a demanding job might interfere with family life. You do want children, don't you, Madison?" The question felt like a trap. "Eventually, yes. Eventually. Interesting. Derek wants them soon. He's always been wonderful with children. Haven't you, sweetheart?" Derek shifted uncomfortably. "Mom, we just got married. We have time to figure that out. Time runs out faster than you think, especially for women. Your biological clock and all that." Patricia took a long sip of wine, her eyes never leaving my face. "But I suppose if you're more focused on your little job than on starting a family, that's your choice." My little job. The one that paid for this condo she wanted to steal. "I think we can balance both career and family when we're ready," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Can you, though?" I tried that, working and raising Derek. It was exhausting. I eventually had to give up my career to focus on being a proper mother and wife. Sacrifices Madison. That's what marriage is about. She said it like a threat, like a preview of what she expected from me. Give up everything, become dependent, make myself vulnerable. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out casually, glancing at the screen. Detective Martinez. "We got the warrant. Searching the storage unit tomorrow. Stay safe tonight." I set the phone face down on the table, and Patricia's eyes tracked the movement. "Everything all right, dear? Just work. A client with a question." "On a Sunday evening. How inconsiderate. You should set better boundaries." Derek reached over and squeezed my hand. "She's right, babe. You work too hard. Maybe after we settle into married life, you could cut back your hours. We don't need two incomes." There it was. The first suggestion that I didn't need to work. The first step toward making me financially dependent on him. I love my job. I'm not cutting back. Patricia's smile went sharp. "Oh, you're one of those modern women. Independent, strong-willed. That can be difficult in a marriage, can't it, Derek? Mom, leave it alone. I'm just saying marriage requires compromise, flexibility. Sometimes you have to put your husband's needs above your own desires. That's what I did, and look how well Derek turned out." I looked at Derek, this man who'd been raised to manipulate and steal from women, and wondered if Patricia really thought she'd done a good job. "I think we'll figure out what works for us," I said. Patricia leaned back in her chair, swirling her wine. "Of course you will. I'm just trying to help. I've been married. I know how hard it can be, especially when one person is more invested than the other." "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing, dear. Just that Derek is clearly very committed to this marriage, very invested in making it work, and I hope you're equally committed." She knew. Something in her tone, the way she looked at me. She knew I was suspicious, or at least she sensed it. My hands started to sweat. I took a drink of water, trying to appear calm. Derek stood up suddenly. "Mom, can you help me with dessert? I got that cake you like from the bakery." They went to the kitchen together, and I could hear them whispering, urgent and sharp. I couldn't make out the words, but Patricia's tone was angry. Derek's defensive. My phone buzzed again. A text from Rachel. "Don't eat or drink anything Patricia brought. We found arsenic in her first husband's autopsy report. They covered it up, but we have the original toxicology." Arsenic. The casserole. I looked at my plate. I'd only eaten a few bites, focusing more on the salad and bread. Derek and Patricia had both eaten the casserole too, but they knew which parts to avoid. Maybe Patricia had only poisoned certain sections. I stood up my chair, scraping loudly. Derek and Patricia came back immediately, both watching me. "I need to use the bathroom," I said. I locked myself in and immediately texted Detective Martinez. Patricia might have poisoned the food. She brought a casserole. I ate some. "How much?" "Just a few bites." "Any symptoms?" "Nausea, dizziness, stomach cramps." I waited, assessing. My stomach felt fine. No unusual sensations. "No, nothing." "If you feel anything at all, call 911 immediately. I'm sending a unit to your building. They'll stay nearby in case you need help." "She'll know something's wrong if police show up." "They'll be discreet. But Madison, you need to get that casserole to us for testing. Can you save it?" "I'll try." I flushed the toilet for effect and went back out. Patricia and Derek were sitting on the couch now, talking in low voices that stopped the second I appeared. "Feeling all right?" Patricia asked, her voice dripping with false concern. "Fine. Why?" "You just looked pale earlier. I thought maybe you were coming down with something." "Just tired." Derek patted the couch next to him. "Come sit. We were just talking about the honeymoon. Mom thinks we should postpone Maui, maybe do something closer to home instead." "Why would we postpone?" Patricia smiled. "Well, with money being tight, it might be smart to save that expense. Maui is so expensive and you two are just starting out. Money isn't tight." "Oh, I just assumed. With the condo payment and your student loans, Derek mentioned you were stretched a bit thin." I didn't have student loans. I'd paid for college with scholarships and money from my mother's life insurance. Derek had never asked about my finances directly, but apparently he'd been making assumptions and sharing them with his mother. "We're fine financially," I said firmly. "Of course, dear. I didn't mean to suggest otherwise. I just worry. That's what mothers do. We worry about our children and want to protect them from making mistakes." "What mistakes?" "Overspending, living beyond your means, getting into debt. These are common problems for young couples." Derek cut in. "Mom's just trying to help Madison. She's been through all this before." "I appreciate the concern, but we don't need financial advice." Patricia's expression hardened for just a second before she smoothed it back into pleasantness. Well, if you change your mind, I'm always here. I've helped Derek manage his money for years. He's very responsible because of my guidance. Responsible. This woman who trained her son to defraud women thought she was a financial expert. My stomach suddenly cramped sharp and painful. I gasped, doubling over slightly. Derek was beside me instantly. Madison, what's wrong? My stomach. It hurts. Patricia stood up, and I could have sworn I saw satisfaction flash across her face. Oh dear, maybe the casserole didn't agree with you. Or perhaps you're just not used to home cooking. You career women always eating takeout. The pain intensified. I stumbled toward the bathroom, and Derek followed his hand on my back. Should I call a doctor? He asked, and he sounded genuinely worried. Maybe he didn't know. Maybe Patricia had acted alone. I'll be okay, just need a minute. I locked the bathroom door and immediately called Detective Martinez. I'm having symptoms, stomach cramps, bad ones. I'm sending paramedics. Don't tell Derek or Patricia. Go along with whatever they suggest, but get in that ambulance. What if it's just regular food poisoning? Then we'll know for sure. But Madison, don't take chances. Patricia Carter is a killer. 3 minutes later, someone knocked on the bathroom door. Derek. Babe, should I really call someone? You've been in there a while. I opened the door, holding my stomach. Maybe. It really hurts. He pulled out his phone, but before he could dial someone, knocked on the front door. Hard. Official. Derek looked confused. Who's that? Patricia appeared from the living room, her face suddenly alert. Did you order something? Derek opened the door. 2 paramedics stood there in full uniforms carrying equipment. We received a medical alert call from this address, one of them said. Someone experiencing severe abdominal pain. Derek looked at me. You called them. I pressed my medical alert app, the one my dad made me download. I'm sorry, I was scared. It was a lie, but it sounded plausible. Derek knew my father was overprotective. The paramedics came in professional and efficient. They took my vitals, asked questions, examined me. One of them, a woman in her 30s, caught my eye and gave me a barely perceptible nod. Detective Martinez had sent people she trusted. We should take her in for observation, the woman said. Could be appendicitis, could be food poisoning. Better safe than sorry. I'll come with you, Derek said immediately. Only one person in the ambulance, sir. You can meet us at the hospital. I want to ride with my wife. The male paramedic blocked him smoothly. Hospital policy. Family can follow in their own vehicle. They got me on a stretcher moving fast, and I caught Patricia's expression as they wheeled me past. She looked worried, but not about me. She looked worried about herself. In the ambulance, as soon as the doors closed, the female paramedic leaned close. Detective Martinez filled us in. We're taking blood samples for toxicology. If there's arsenic in your system, we'll know within an hour. What if there is? Then we arrest Patricia Carter tonight, but we need you to be okay for that to happen, so hold on. At the hospital, they rushed me into a private room. A doctor came in young and serious, and drew what felt like a dozen vials of blood. The lab's running this priority, he said. We'll have preliminary results fast. Derek burst into the room. 15 minutes later, Patricia right behind him. A nurse tried to stop them, but Derek pushed past. What's going on? Is she okay? The doctor turned his expression calm. We're running tests. Possible food poisoning, but we need to rule out other causes. What other causes? Patricia asked, her voice too sharp. Appendicitis, ulcers, various infections. Standard protocol. Can I stay with her? Derek asked. One visitor at a time and only for short periods. She needs rest. Patricia immediately said, I'll wait in the lobby. Derek, you stay with your wife. She left, and Derek pulled a chair next to my bed, taking my hand. You scared me, he said quietly. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. Just get better. He squeezed my hand, and for a second he looked like the man I'd fallen in love with. Concerned, present, real. But then his phone buzzed and he checked it quickly. His expression changed, hardened. He stood up. I need to make a call. Be right back. He left, and I was alone with the nurse who was checking my IV. That's your husband? She asked quietly. Yes. He seems worried. He's a good actor. She looked at me sharply, then glanced at the door. Detective Martinez briefed me. I'm Officer Chen undercover. You're safe here. We have security on this floor. Thank you. Results should be back any minute. If there's arsenic, we move fast. If not, you still need to be careful going home. Derek came back 20 minutes later, his face drawn. Mom had to leave. She wasn't feeling well. She thinks maybe the casserole was bad. Did she eat it? Yeah, before she came over. She's worried she gave us food poisoning. Covering her tracks. If I got sick, she could claim it was an accident. Bad chicken, simple mistake. No evidence of intent. The doctor came back in holding a tablet. His expression was neutral professional. Mr. and Mrs. Carter, I have the preliminary results. Madison, you don't have appendicitis or any infection. However, we did find an elevated level of a concerning substance in your blood work. Derek leaned forward. What substance? I'm not at liberty to discuss details until we complete the full toxicology panel. But Madison, you're going to need to stay overnight for observation and treatment. Treatment for what? Derek's voice rose. What's wrong with her? Mr. Carter, I need you to step outside so I can speak with my patient privately. I'm her husband. I have a right to know. Actually, you don't. HIPAA regulations give the patient final say over who receives medical information. Madison, do you want your husband present for this conversation? Derek looked at me, his eyes searching my face, and I saw something there. Fear. Not fear for me, but fear of exposure. I want to hear it alone first, I said quietly. Madison, what? No, I'm not leaving. Mr. Carter, I'm going to have to ask you to leave, or I'll call security. Derek's jaw clenched, and for a second I thought he might refuse. Then he turned and walked out, slamming the door behind him. The doctor waited until his footsteps faded, then looked at me. You have arsenic in your system. Not a fatal dose, but enough to make you very sick and cause long-term damage if untreated. We're starting chelation therapy immediately. Detective Martinez is on her way, and we've called in a forensics team to collect the food from your condo. Patricia tried to kill me. Yes, and if you'd eaten more of that casserole, she might have succeeded. I lay back against the pillows, my body starting to shake. She did this to her husband. She's done it before. We know, but this time we caught her. You're safe now, Madison. We're going to make sure she never hurts anyone again. Detective Martinez arrived an hour later with 2 uniformed officers. She closed the door to my room and sat down beside my bed. We have Patricia Carter in custody, picked her up at her house. We also have Derek in an interrogation room. He's lawyering up, but Patricia's talking. Apparently she thinks she can blame everything on Derek. She's turning on her own son. She has before. In her first marriage, she blamed her stepson for various thefts. He did 2 years in juvenile detention before someone proved his innocence. Patricia Carter is a sociopath who will sacrifice anyone to save herself. What happens now? Now we charge her with attempted murder. We test the casserole, and I'm betting we find enough arsenic to kill 3 people. We also got into the storage unit. Derek kept souvenirs from every con. Jewelry from his first wife, documents from his second, even love letters. He's a narcissist who couldn't resist keeping trophies. So it's over? The criminal case is just beginning, but yes, you're safe. Derek and Patricia will both be arraigned tomorrow. I expect they'll be denied bail given the flight risk and severity of charges. Rachel burst into the room before I could respond, her eyes red from crying. Oh my God, Madison. I came as soon as I heard. Are you okay? What did they do to you? Arsenic. Patricia put arsenic in the casserole. Rachel sank into a chair, her hand over her mouth. She tried to kill you. On your second day of marriage, she tried to kill you. Not tried. Almost succeeded. If I'd eaten more, if I hadn't gotten that warning text from you. Jesus! Rachel wiped her eyes. What about Derek? Is he involved in the poisoning? Detective Martinez shook her head. We don't think so. Patricia acted alone on this. Derek's crimes are fraud, not attempted murder. He's looking at 5 to 10 years. Patricia's looking at life. Good, Rachel said fiercely. They both deserve worse. My father arrived next, nearly running into the room. When he saw me in the hospital bed, his face crumpled. Baby girl. Oh, baby girl, I'm so sorry. I should have seen it. I should have protected you. Dad, you couldn't have known. I should have done more research, should have hired a private investigator, should have trusted my gut. I never liked him, Madison. Never. I know. He sat down heavily, taking my hand. Your mother would have seen right through him. She always could read people. I just thought I was being an overprotective father, not wanting to lose my daughter. You didn't lose me. I'm right here. You almost weren't. His voice broke. If you'd eaten more of that poison, if those paramedics hadn't gotten there when they did. We sat in silence for a moment, the weight of what almost happened settling over all of us. Detective Martinez stood up. I'll let you have some family time. Madison, you'll need to give a formal statement tomorrow, but for tonight, just rest. The chelation therapy will make you feel worse before you feel better. Nausea, headaches, fatigue, but you'll recover fully. After she left, Rachel moved to the other side of my bed. I brought your laptop and some clothes, thought you might want them. Also, I filed for an emergency restraining order against both Derek and Patricia. It was granted an hour ago. They can't contact you, can't come near you, can't access any of your property. Thank you. The condo's locks have been changed. Building security has their photos. Derek's car has been removed from your parking space. As far as the law is concerned, he never lived there. My father added, and I've transferred everything we discussed into a trust. Even if Derek tries to claim marital assets, he'll find nothing. Every penny you own is protected. I can't believe this is real. Yesterday I was getting married. Today I'm in a hospital bed because my mother-in-law tried to poison me. Rachel squeezed my hand. Yesterday you thought you were getting married. What you actually did was narrowly escape a nightmare. If you hadn't hidden under that bed, if you hadn't heard Patricia's confession, where would you be right now? I thought about it. In a year, maybe less, I'd have been divorced. Broken down by Derek's systematic abuse and Patricia's manipulation. Maybe I'd have been dead if I'd fought back too hard, if I'd discovered their plan too late. I'd be destroyed. But you're not. You're here, you're safe, and they're the ones going to prison. A nurse came in to check my vitals and adjust my IV. How are you feeling, Mrs. Carter? Not Mrs. Carter, I said quickly. Just Madison. Madison Hayes. I'll update your chart. And Madison, there's a young man in the waiting room asking about you. Says his name is Nathan Reed, that he's a colleague. Should I send him away? Nathan. We'd worked together on a building project 6 months ago. Smart, funny kind. I'd thought about asking him out before I'd gotten serious with Derek. He can come in for a few minutes. Rachel raised her eyebrows at me but didn't comment. Nathan appeared in the doorway holding a small bouquet of daisies. Hey, I heard through the engineering network that you were here. Wanted to make sure you were okay. That's sweet. I'm fine, just food poisoning. He glanced at the police officer stationed outside my door, then back at me. Must have been some food poisoning to warrant police protection. I smiled despite everything. Long story. I've got time if you ever want to tell it. My father stood up. We should let Madison rest. Come on, Rachel. They left and Nathan pulled up a chair. You don't have to stay, I told him. I know, but I wanted to. We haven't talked since the foster building project wrapped. I've been meaning to call you, actually. Oh, yeah. I wanted to ask if you'd like to get coffee sometime, but then I heard you were engaged, so I figured I'd missed my chance. I was engaged, past tense, very past tense. I heard that too. Look, I know this is terrible timing, but when you're ready, if you ever want to grab that coffee, I'd really like that. I looked at him, this genuinely nice man who'd shown up at a hospital with flowers, just because he heard I was sick, and I felt something I hadn't felt in days. Hope. I'd like that too. Maybe in a few weeks when things settle down. Whenever you're ready, no pressure. He set the daisies on my bedside table. These are from the whole team, by the way. Everyone's worried about you. Tell them I'm okay? Just a rough couple of days. After Nathan left, I lay there thinking about how quickly life could change. 2 days ago, I'd been standing at an altar, promising forever to a man who'd planned to destroy me. Tonight, I was in a hospital bed poisoned by my mother-in-law facing divorce and criminal trials and testimony. But I was alive. I was safe. And Derek and Patricia were the ones behind bars. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You think you won, but this isn't over. We'll get out eventually. And when we do, you'll pay for what you've done to this family." I showed it to the officer outside my door. Within minutes, Detective Martinez was back. "That's Derek's burner phone. We didn't find it in the initial search. This is actually good news, Madison. It shows consciousness of guilt and constitutes witness intimidation. His bail just went from unlikely to impossible. He's threatening me from jail. Apparently, some people never learn, but this helps our case. Shows premeditation, ongoing criminal intent, everything we need." She left to coordinate with the DA's office, and I was finally alone. I turned off the lights and lay in the darkness listening to the beeps of hospital equipment, thinking about everything that had happened in just 48 hours. I'd hidden under a bed to play a silly prank on my new husband. Instead, I discovered he was a con artist working with his murderous mother to steal everything I owned and possibly kill me when I was no longer useful. But I'd survived. I'd been smart. I'd gathered evidence. I'd gotten help. And now they were paying the price for underestimating me. Tomorrow, I'd give my statement. I'd start divorce proceedings. I'd begin the long process of testifying and healing and moving forward. But tonight, I let myself feel the full weight of everything I'd lost and everything I'd gained. I'd lost the illusion of Derek, the future I'd imagined, the innocence of believing love was simple and good. But I'd gained something too: strength, knowledge, the absolute certainty that I could survive anything. The door opened softly, and Rachel peeked in. "Can't sleep," she whispered. "Thought you might not be able to either." "Come in." She climbed onto the bed next to me like we'd done 100 times during college, and we lay there in the darkness together. "You're going to be okay," she said. "You know that, right?" "I know. And one day this is going to be a crazy story you tell at parties. Remember that time I almost married a con artist? If I ever go to a party again." "You will. You'll heal. You'll trust again. You'll find someone real." I thought about Nathan and his daisies, about the way he'd looked at me with genuine concern, no agenda, no manipulation. Maybe Rachel was right. Maybe there was life after Derek. Maybe there was even happiness. But for now, I just needed to survive the night. Rachel fell asleep around 2 a.m, her breathing soft and steady beside me, but I stayed awake watching the shadows move across the ceiling. Every sound in the hallway made me jump. Every footstep past my door sent my heart racing. Patricia was in custody. Derek was in jail, but my body hadn't gotten the message that the danger was over. Around 4, my phone lit up with a call from Detective Martinez. "I'm sorry to wake you, but you need to know this now. Patricia made bail." I sat up so fast Rachel jolted awake. "What? How?" "Her sister posted bond, $2 million. She's out Madison. She had to surrender her passport and she's on house arrest with an ankle monitor, but she's out." "You said she'd be denied bail. You said she was too dangerous." "The judge disagreed, said she had no prior convictions, strong community ties, and the evidence was circumstantial enough that she deserved to await trial at home." "Circumstantial. She poisoned me. You have the casserole, you have my blood work. We have a casserole with arsenic in it that was in your home." Her lawyer's already arguing that anyone could have added the poison after Patricia left. That Derek had access, that you had access, that the chain of custody is compromised. Rachel grabbed the phone from my hand and put it on speaker. "This is Rachel Brooks. What are the conditions of her house arrest? She can't leave her property, can't contact Madison directly, or indirectly can't access weapons or computers. She has to check in with her monitor daily. And if she violates any of that, immediate arrest, bail revoked. But Madison, you need to be careful. Patricia's smart, and she's desperate. House arrest doesn't mean she can't hurt you. She has money connections, people who'll do favors for her." After Martinez hung up, I couldn't breathe. The walls felt like they were closing in. "She's going to kill me," I whispered. "She almost did it once. Now she knows I'm the reason she's facing charges. She's going to finish the job." Rachel grabbed my shoulders. Listen to me. You're in a hospital with police protection. You're not going back to that condo alone. You're coming to stay with me until the trial, and we're getting you private security. I can't afford private security. Your father can, and he will. Madison, you survived this. You're not dying now because some judge is an idiot. The nurse came in at dawn to remove my IV and check my vitals one last time. The chelation therapy had worked, and my levels were stable enough to discharge me. You'll need to come back for follow-up blood work in a week, she said, handing me papers. And you'll probably feel weak for a few days. The poison does damage even in small doses. Rest, drink lots of water, and if you feel worse instead of better, come back immediately. My father arrived to pick me up, his face haggard like he hadn't slept at all. He'd brought clothes for me. Real clothes, not the hospital gown I'd been wearing. Rachel told me about Patricia making bail. I've already hired a security firm. There'll be someone with you 24/7 until this is over. Dad, that's extreme. Extreme is what this woman did to you. Extreme is what she did to her husband. I'm not taking chances. A man in his 40s stepped into the room, professional and alert. Mrs. Carter, I'm Marcus Webb, head of your security detail. I'll be coordinating your protection starting now. It's just Madison. I'm not using Carter anymore. Understood. Ms. Hayes, we need to discuss your immediate safety. Where are you planning to stay? With me, Rachel said. My apartment building has good security doorman cameras. We'll need to sweep the apartment before you arrive. Make sure there are no surveillance devices. Patricia Carter has used private investigators before. She may already know where you're going. The paranoia wasn't helping my anxiety, but Marcus was right to be cautious. Patricia had been planning cons for decades. She knew how to track people, how to find vulnerabilities. We left the hospital through a service exit, Marcus checking every corridor before we moved. My father's car was waiting with another security guard in the driver's seat, and they sandwiched me between them in the back like I was a witness in a mob trial. This is insane, I muttered. This is my life now, hiding from my mother-in-law. Just until the trial, my father said. Martinez thinks it'll be fast-tracked given the severity. Maybe 6 weeks, 2 months tops. 2 months of living in fear. 2 months of looking over my shoulder. 2 months of armed guards and security sweeps and paranoia. We pulled up to Rachel's building, and Marcus got out first, scanning the street before letting me exit. Inside, another member of his team was waiting with equipment to sweep Rachel's apartment. This is Tyler, Marcus said. Best tech guy in the business. If there's a bug, a camera, anything electronic that shouldn't be here, he'll find it. Tyler spent an hour going through Rachel's apartment with devices that beeped and whirred, checking outlets, smoke detectors, even the thermostat. He found nothing, which should have been reassuring, but somehow made me more nervous, like Patricia was still 1 step ahead. You're clear, Tyler finally announced. No surveillance, no tracking devices, but I'm installing additional security on your windows and doors, cameras on the entrance, motion sensors on the balcony. My landlord's going to love this, Rachel said dryly. Your landlord can take it up with me, my father replied, and if he has a problem, I'll buy the building. Under different circumstances, I might have laughed, but nothing felt funny anymore. That afternoon, Derek called. I stared at my phone watching it ring, and Marcus reached for it. Don't answer. He's not supposed to contact you. It might be important. It's a violation of the restraining order. Answer it, and we lose leverage. I let it go to voicemail. 2 minutes later, a text came through. Madison, please. I didn't know what my mother was planning. You have to believe me. I never wanted you hurt. Call me back. We need to talk. I showed it to Marcus, and he photographed it immediately. This goes to Detective Martinez. Every contact he makes strengthens your case. But part of me wondered if Derek was telling the truth. Had he known about the arsenic? Or had Patricia acted alone, protecting her con without telling her son she was willing to commit murder? My phone rang again, this time an unknown number. Don't answer that either, Marcus warned, but I did some instinct telling me I needed to hear who it was. Madison Hayes, a woman's voice older shaky. Yes, this is Carol Brennan. I was Derek Carter's first wife. I sat down hard on Rachel's couch. How did you get this number? From the police. They contacted me yesterday, said Derek was arrested. They told me what he did to you. Madison, I'm so sorry. I should have gone public years ago. I should have warned people. What happened to you?" She took a shaky breath. "Same thing he tried with you. Convinced me to put his name on my dental practice. Then 3 months later, he filed for divorce, claiming he'd invested money in the business that he deserved half. I fought it, but he had receipts for office equipment renovations, all this documentation that made it look like he'd funded my expansion. But he hadn't. No, the money was mine. I'd saved for years. But he'd been clever about it, would pay for things with cash I'd given him, then keep the receipts, made it look like his money instead of mine." "Did Patricia help him?" "Oh, Patricia orchestrated everything. She's a monster, Madison. She came to my practice before Derek and I even met, pretending to be a new patient. She got information about my finances, my business, everything. Then she introduced me to Derek at a charity event. Made it seem random, but it was all planned." My stomach turned. "They stalked you. They stalk all their victims. Research them, find their vulnerabilities, then strike. I lost almost everything in that divorce. Had to sell my practice, start over. It took me 5 years to rebuild my life." "Why didn't you report them?" "I tried. The police said it was a civil matter, not criminal. Patricia's too smart, Madison. She leaves no evidence. Everything she does has plausible deniability." "Not this time. This time I have evidence." "Good. Make them pay. For me, for Derek's second wife, for everyone they've destroyed. You're the first person who caught them in the act. Don't let them get away with it." After she hung up, I researched Derek's second wife, found her on social media, sent a message explaining who I was and what had happened. She responded within minutes. "Can I call you?" Her name was Jennifer, and her story was almost identical to Carol's. Patricia had befriended her at a yoga class, spent months building trust, then introduced her to Derek. He'd courted her for a year before proposing, convinced her to put his name on her marketing firm, then filed for divorce, claiming he'd built the business with her. "I fought him in court for 2 years, Jennifer said, her voice tight with anger. "Cost me over $300,000 in legal fees. In the end, I had to give him $200,000 just to make him go away. It was cheaper than continuing the fight." "Did you suspect Patricia's involvement?" "Not until after. Then I found out she'd done the same thing to her husband. Married him, isolated him from his family, took control of his finances, then he conveniently died. She collected millions. The police think she killed him. I know she did, but proving it is impossible. She's too careful, too smart. Madison, watch your back. If Patricia thinks you're a threat to her freedom, she won't stop at arsenic. She'll come at you in ways you can't predict." I thanked her and hung up, feeling sick. 2 ex-wives, same pattern, same devastation. How many more were there? How many women had Patricia and Derek destroyed? Detective Martinez called that evening with an update. "We found 6 more potential victims. We're reaching out to all of them, building a pattern of behavior case. If even half of them agree to testify, Derek's looking at decades, not years. And Patricia, still maintaining she's innocent, claims Derek acted alone, that she had no knowledge of any cons, says the arsenic in the casserole was Derek's doing, that he must have added it without her knowledge. That's insane. I have the recording of her planning everything. I know, but her lawyer's going to argue that recording could have been edited, taken out of context, that you were upset and misheard things. It's going to be a fight, Madison. I need you prepared for that." I wasn't prepared. How could anyone be prepared for this? That night, I couldn't sleep. Rachel's guest room felt like a cage. Every sound made me think Patricia had found a way past the security, past the guards, past every protection we'd put in place. Around midnight, I gave up and went to the living room. Found Rachel there too, working on her laptop. "Can't sleep either," she asked. "Keep thinking about what Jennifer said, that Patricia won't stop. Patricia's on house arrest. She's got an ankle monitor. She can't get to you. She has money. She can hire people." Rachel closed her laptop. "Then we make sure you're never alone. Marcus, the security team, me, your dad. Someone's always with you. She can't hurt what she can't reach." "For how long? 2 months? 6 months? What if the trial gets delayed? What if she makes bail on appeal? I can't live like this forever. You won't have to. One way or another, this ends. Either Patricia goes to prison or... She didn't finish the sentence, but I knew what she meant. Or Patricia would find a way to finish what she'd started. My phone buzzed. A text from Nathan. Hey, heard you got discharged. Just checking in. Hope you're resting. Still thinking about that coffee when you're ready. Heck. Something about his message made me smile for the first time in days. Normal, simple, no hidden agenda. I texted back, rain check for when my life isn't a crime drama. Absolutely, take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere. Rachel looked over my shoulder. Nathan from the Foster Project. Yeah. He's cute, smart too, actually nice from what I remember. Rachel, I'm literally still married to a con artist who tried to steal my condo while his mother tried to poison me. Dating is not on my agenda. I'm just saying, when this is over, when you're ready, there are good men out there. Men who won't hide tracking apps on your phone or plot to defraud you. The bar is literally on the floor. True, but Nathan seems like he clears it by miles. The next morning, I had to go to the police station to give my formal statement. Marcus drove me in an SUV with tinted windows, another guard following in a second vehicle. The precinct was swarming with reporters who'd gotten word about the case. Mrs. Carter, is it true your husband tried to kill you? Madison, are you pressing charges? Is Derek Carter connected to other crimes? Marcus shielded me with his body, pushing through the crowd. Inside, Detective Martinez was waiting with the DA, a sharp-eyed woman in her 50s named Ellen Reeves. Ms. Hayes, thank you for coming in. I know this is difficult, but I need you to walk me through everything. Start from the beginning. How did you meet Derek Carter? I told her everything. The coffee shop where we'd met, how Patricia had been there too that day sitting 2 tables over, the way Derek had asked about my job, my life, my family, how he'd seemed interested in every detail. I thought he was curious because he cared. Now I realize he was gathering intelligence. Ellen nodded, taking notes. And when did he propose? 6 months ago, right after I bought the condo. I told him about it, and 2 weeks later he proposed. Did that timing seem suspicious? Not then. Now obviously yes. We went through everything. The recording the wedding, the honeymoon suite, Patricia's confession, then the casserole, the hospital, the arsenic. How much did you eat? Ellen asked. 3, maybe 4 bites. I was focusing on the salad mostly. That saved your life. If you'd eaten a normal portion, you'd likely be dead. The concentration of arsenic in that casserole was enough to kill someone your size with about 6 ounces of food. The room tilted. 6 ounces. I'd been 6 ounces away from death. Patricia's defense is going to argue that she didn't know about the poison, Ellen continued, that someone else added it after she delivered the casserole, that you or Derek could have poisoned it yourselves. Why would I poison myself? To frame Patricia, to get out of the marriage. Their theory will be that you discovered Derek's past, realized you'd made a mistake, and staged the poisoning to escape and destroy them. That's ridiculous. It's also hard to disprove, which is why we need the recording. That recording establishes motive, shows premeditation, proves Patricia's intent to harm you. Without it, we have a circumstantial case. With it, we have conspiracy. I played the recording again, watching Ellen's face as she listened. When it finished, she sat back. This is damning. Her lawyer will try to suppress it, claim it was obtained illegally, but you were in your own hotel room. You had every right to record. This will hold up. So she'll go to prison. If we can get it to trial. But Patricia has resources. She's going to fight every step of the way. I need you prepared for a long, ugly battle. She'll try to destroy your credibility, paint you as unstable, claim you're lying. I'm not lying. I know, but the jury doesn't know that yet. They'll hear her lawyer say you're a scorned wife seeking revenge. They'll hear about the recording and wonder if you manipulated it. They'll see a wealthy, respectable woman who volunteers at her church and runs charity fundraisers. Patricia knows how to perform innocence. Over the next few hours, they prepped me for deposition. asked me every question Patricia's lawyer would ask, poked holes in my story, challenged my timeline. By the end, I was exhausted and frustrated. "Why does it feel like I'm the one on trial?" I asked. Ellen's expression softened. "Because in many ways you are. Sexual assault victims face this domestic violence, survivors face this. When you accuse someone of a crime, especially someone with resources and reputation, you become the one who has to prove you're telling the truth. It's not fair, but it's reality. So we prepare you. We make sure your story is airtight, your testimony unshakable. We make sure Patricia's lawyer can't rattle you." On the way out, I saw Derek being led through the building in handcuffs. Our eyes met for just a second, and something in his expression made me stop. He looked broken, genuinely broken. Marcus tried to pull me along, but I shook him off and walked toward Derek. The officer escorting him stopped alert. "Madison, don't," Marcus warned, but I needed to know. I needed to hear it from him. "Did you know," I asked Derek, "about the arsenic? Did you know your mother was going to poison me?" He stared at me, his eyes red-rimmed. "No, I swear to God, Madison, I didn't know. I never would have let her do that." "But you were fine with everything else. The con, the fraud destroying my life. That was acceptable." "I'm sorry. I know that's not enough, but I'm sorry. My mother, she's been training me for this my whole life. I didn't know any other way." "You had a choice. Every day you chose to lie to me. Every time I said I loved you, you chose to manipulate that." "I know, and I have to live with that. But Madison, I never wanted you dead. That was all her. She's insane. I didn't see it until it was too late." The officer pulled him away before I could respond, and I stood there shaking. Marcus put a hand on my shoulder. "You okay?" "He's lying. He's still lying. Even now he's trying to manipulate me." "Maybe. Or maybe he's telling the truth and he's just as much Patricia's victim as you are." "He's not the victim. I'm the victim. I'm the one in hiding with armed guards. I'm the one who almost died." "You're right. I'm sorry. That was out of line." We drove back to Rachel's apartment in silence, and I spent the rest of the day trying not to think about the look in Derek's eyes, trying not to wonder if somewhere under all the lies there'd been a real person who actually cared about me. That night, my father came over with dinner and more news. Patricia's lawyer filed a motion to dismiss the charges. Claims insufficient evidence, improper police procedure, violation of her rights. The hearing's in 3 days. Can they really dismiss it? Ellen says it's unlikely but not impossible. If the judge rules the recording inadmissible, the case gets much harder to prove. I couldn't eat. My stomach was in knots, imagining Patricia walking free. The charges dropped nothing to stop her from coming after me again. "Dad, what if they let her go? What if she beats this?" He took my hand. "Then we disappear. I've already looked into it. We can relocate, new identities, everything. I have contacts who can make it happen." "Run away. Start over somewhere else." "If that's what it takes to keep you safe." "Yes. Madison, I already lost your mother. I'm not losing you too." The emotion in his voice broke something in me, and I started crying. Really crying for the first time since this nightmare began. I just wanted to get married. I just wanted a normal life. How did everything go so wrong? He held me while I sobbed, Rachel joining us on the couch, and for a while we just sat there. 3 people trying to make sense of something that made no sense. Around 10, Marcus knocked on the door. "We have a problem. Patricia's ankle monitor went offline 20 minutes ago." I felt my blood turn to ice. "What does that mean?" "It means either there's a technical malfunction or she cut it off. Police are en route to her house now. But Ms. Hayes, we need to assume the worst. We need to move you to a secure location until they confirm her whereabouts." "Move me where?" "Safe house, undisclosed location. Basic protocol for high-risk witnesses." My father stood immediately. "I'm coming with her." "Sir, with respect, that's not advisable. If Patricia's looking for your daughter, you're the first person she'll surveil." "I don't care. I'm not leaving her alone." Marcus looked at Rachel. "You too. Anyone close to Ms. Hayes needs to be protected. We're treating this as an active threat." Within 30 minutes, we were in an unmarked van heading out of the city. Marcus wouldn't tell us where we were going, said it was better if we didn't know the address in case someone tried to force it out of us. The safe house turned out to be a cabin in the mountains, 2 hours north of Atlanta. Remote, heavily wooded with security cameras covering every approach. "You'll stay here until we locate Patricia," Marcus said. "There's food supplies, everything you need. Tyler will be stationed outside. I'll have a rotating team of 4 guards around the clock." "How long?" I asked. "However long it takes." He left us there, locked in a cabin in the woods, waiting to find out if my mother-in-law had escaped house arrest to come finish what she'd started. Rachel found the wine and poured 3 large glasses. "Well, this is cozy. Nothing like a murder cabin to really bring a family together." My father didn't laugh. He was checking the windows, testing the locks, his engineering mind already calculating vulnerability points. "Dad Marcus's team has this covered. I want to see for myself. I want to know every way in and every way out." I understood. He needed to feel like he was protecting me, like he had some control over the situation. So I let him check every lock twice while Rachel and I drank wine and pretended this was a normal vacation. Around midnight, Marcus called with an update. "We found Patricia. She's at her house. The monitor malfunction was technical, not sabotage. She never left." The relief was so intense, I actually felt lightheaded. "So we can go home." "Not yet. We're keeping you there for tonight just as a precaution. Tomorrow morning, if everything stays clear, you can return to Atlanta." I hung up and told Rachel and my father the news. We all exhaled together, some of the tension finally breaking. "She's not coming," Rachel said. "She's not going to risk violating house arrest. She's too smart for that." But as I lay in the cabin's small bedroom that night, listening to the wind in the trees and the guards pacing outside, I couldn't shake the feeling that Patricia was still winning. She'd forced me out of my home into hiding, living in fear. Even from house arrest, even with an ankle monitor, she'd managed to control my life. And tomorrow, when I went back to Atlanta, I'd still be looking over my shoulder, still jumping at shadows, still wondering if this time she'd find a way to finish what she'd started. The recording under the bed had saved my life, but it hadn't set me free. Not yet. We returned to Atlanta the next morning, but the city felt different now. Every car behind us could be following. Every stranger on the street could be working for Patricia. The safe house had been temporary refuge, but Atlanta was where the real danger lived. Marcus drove us straight to the courthouse. The hearing on Patricia's motion to dismiss was scheduled for 10, and Ellen Reeves wanted me there early to prep. "Your presence matters," she told me on the phone. "The judge needs to see you're real, that this isn't some abstract legal exercise. You're a person Patricia tried to kill." We met in a conference room, Ellen spreading files across the table. She looked tired, like she'd been up all night preparing. "Patricia's lawyer is claiming the recording violates Georgia's wiretapping laws. Says you recorded her without consent in a place where she had a reasonable expectation of privacy." "It was my hotel room, my honeymoon suite." "I know, and that's our argument. But her lawyer's going to say, Patricia believed she was having a private conversation, that you deliberately concealed yourself to record her, that it's entrapment. I was playing a prank on my husband. I didn't know she'd walk in." "Which is exactly what you'll testify if it comes to that." "But Madison, there's something else. Patricia's team found your social media posts from 2 years ago. Posts about engineering projects, posts about your father's company, posts that mentioned Titan defense systems." My stomach dropped. So they're building a narrative that you lied to Derek about your background, that you deliberately deceived him about your wealth, then cried victim when he acted on false information. That's insane. I downplayed my background because I wanted him to love me for me, not my money. I understand that, but they're going to twist it. Say you manipulated Derek into thinking you were a different person, that the real fraud was yours. Rachel slammed her hand on the table. This is victim blaming at its finest. Patricia tried to murder her. End of story. It's not end of story in a courtroom, Ellen said quietly. Every detail matters. Every inconsistency becomes ammunition. We need to be prepared for them to attack Madison's character, her credibility, everything. The courtroom was smaller than I'd expected. and colder. Patricia sat at the defense table in a cream-colored suit, her hair perfect, her face calm. She looked like someone's beloved grandmother, not a woman who'd tried to poison me. When her eyes met mine, she smiled. Actually smiled. I wanted to scream. The judge was a man in his 60s, stern-faced and no-nonsense. He gavelled the hearing to order and looked at Patricia's lawyer. Mr. Hendricks, your motion claims insufficient evidence and improper procedure. Let's start with the recording. On what grounds should it be suppressed? Hendricks stood smooth and confident. Your Honor, the recording in question was obtained through deliberate concealment. Ms. Hayes hid under a bed in a hotel room and recorded my client without consent or knowledge. Under Georgia law, this constitutes illegal surveillance. Ellen stood immediately. Your Honor, Ms. Hayes was in her own hotel room, the honeymoon suite she'd personally paid for. She had every right to be there and every right to record what occurred in her own space. There's no expectation of privacy when you enter someone else's room uninvited. Mrs. Carter was invited by her son, who had equal access to the room as his wife. Invited to visit, not to plan criminal fraud. And the recording clearly captures Mrs. Carter admitting to conspiracy, to intent to defraud, and to prior criminal acts. That's not protected conversation, Your Honor. That's confession to crimes. The judge looked at me. Ms. Hayes, why were you hiding under the bed? I stood, my legs shaking. I was playing a prank on my husband, Your Honor. I wanted to surprise him. I didn't know his mother would come in. I didn't know I'd hear what I heard. And you kept recording after you realized what she was saying. Yes, sir, because I was terrified. Because I realized the man I'd just married had been lying to me for 2 years. Because I needed proof of what they were planning. Patricia's lawyer jumped in. Your Honor, Ms. Hayes admits she deliberately continued recording once she knew my client was present. That's willful surveillance. Of a crime in progress, Ellen countered. She was gathering evidence of conspiracy to commit fraud, and as we now know, conspiracy to commit murder. The recording is admissible under the crime-fraud exception. The judge looked between them then at the files in front of him. I'll take this under advisement. What about the arsenic charge, Mr. Hendricks, your position? Purely circumstantial, Your Honor. The casserole in question was in Ms. Hayes's possession for over an hour before she ate it. The chain of custody is compromised. Anyone could have added poison, including Ms. Hayes herself or Mr. Carter. My client nearly died, Ellen said sharply. The medical records show dangerous levels of arsenic in her blood work. Mrs. Carter delivered that casserole. Mrs. Carter had motive to silence Ms. Hayes. Mrs. Carter has a history of suspicious deaths and insurance fraud. Alleged history, Hendricks corrected. Never charged, never convicted. Your Honor, this is character assassination, not evidence. The judge rubbed his temples. I'll rule on the recording by end of day. As for the attempted murder charge, Ms. Reeves, you'll need more than circumstantial evidence to take this to trial. Do you have anything concrete linking Mrs. Carter to the arsenic? Ellen hesitated, and I felt my heart sink. We're working on additional evidence, Your Honor. Forensic analysis of the casserole dish trace evidence from Mrs. Carter's home. Work faster. I'm not putting an elderly woman through a murder trial on circumstantial evidence. You have 1 week to bring me something solid, or I'm dismissing the attempted murder charge and proceeding only with fraud. 1 week. Ellen had 1 week to prove Patricia tried to kill me, or Patricia would walk on the most serious charge. We left the courthouse in silence, Marcus and his team surrounding us like a shield. Reporters shouted questions, but I couldn't hear them over the ringing in my ears. In the car, Rachel grabbed my hand. It's not over. We have a week. Ellen will find something. What if she doesn't? What if Patricia beats this? My father, sitting in the front seat, turned around. Then we take the evidence public. Every news station, every newspaper. We make sure everyone knows what she is, even if the courts don't convict her. That won't keep me safe. That'll just make her angrier. Nobody had an answer for that. Back at Rachel's apartment, I collapsed on the couch. My phone buzzed with messages. One from Nathan. Saw the news. Are you okay? Here if you need anything. One from Derek's lawyer. My client wishes to speak with you. He has information about Patricia that might help your case. Please call. I showed that one to Ellen immediately. She called back within minutes. Derek wants to flip on his mother. He's offering testimony in exchange for a reduced sentence. Can we trust anything he says? Probably not. But if he's willing to testify that Patricia planned the arsenic, that she's done this before, that could be the evidence we need. What does he want in return? Immunity on the attempted murder charge, reduced sentence on fraud, probably 3 to 5 years instead of 10 to 20. The thought of Derek walking free in 5 years made me sick. But if it meant putting Patricia away for life, maybe it was worth it. Set up the meeting, I said. I want to hear what he has to say. The meeting happened 2 days later in a secure room at the DA's office. Derek came in wearing an orange jumpsuit, handcuffed, looking nothing like the charming man I'd married. His hair was greasy, his face unshaven, his eyes hollow. When he saw me, he flinched. "Madison, thank you for coming." I didn't respond, just sat there with Ellen on one side and Marcus on the other, waiting. Derek's lawyer spoke first. "My client is prepared to offer full testimony regarding Patricia Carter's criminal activities in exchange for immunity on all violent crime charges and a maximum sentence of 5 years on fraud charges." 10 years minimum, Ellen countered. "And full cooperation on every victim, every con, every crime. He holds nothing back." Derek leaned forward. "Madison, I need you to understand something. My mother's insane. Actually insane. She's been planning cons since I was a kid. She'd take me to stores and teach me how to steal. She'd introduce me to women and coach me on what to say, how to manipulate them." "So you're a victim now? Is that the story?" "I'm not saying I'm a victim. I'm saying I never had a choice. She controlled everything. The bank accounts, the properties, all of it. I was just her tool." "You had a choice every single day. Every time you lied to me, you chose it." His eyes filled with tears. "You're right, and I hate myself for it. But Madison, the arsenic, that was all her. She told me she was bringing dinner. I didn't know about the poison until you were in the hospital. When I found out, I confronted her. She told me it was necessary, that you were getting suspicious, that we needed to act before you destroyed everything." Ellen pulled out a recorder. "Derek, I need you to repeat that on record. You're saying Patricia Carter admitted to poisoning the casserole?" "Yes. She told me she'd been planning it for weeks. Said she got the arsenic from some guy she knows, some chemist who owes her favors. Said she'd used it before." "Before on who?" "My father. She killed him. I didn't know for sure until she told me about you, but I'd always suspected. He was healthy then, suddenly he was dead, and she collected millions. She said it was easy. Said nobody suspects poison in an elderly person, that doctors just assume natural causes." I felt like I was going to vomit. This woman had murdered her husband and tried to murder me, all for money. "Can you testify to all of this in court?" Ellen asked. "Yes. I'll testify to everything. Every con, every victim, all of it. I'll help you put her away for life. Just please don't let me rot in prison for 20 years. I know what I did was wrong, but I can change. I want to change." Ellen looked at me. "It's your call, Madison. Do we take the deal?" I stared at Derek, this man. I'd loved this man who'd destroyed me. Part of me wanted him to suffer, wanted him to spend decades behind bars paying for what he'd done. But a bigger part of me wanted Patricia to pay more. "Take the deal," I said. 8 years full testimony, and he never contacts me again. Ever. Derek nodded, relief flooding his face. "Thank you. Madison, I'm so sorry for everything. You deserved so much better." "Yes, I did." With Derek's testimony, the case against Patricia became ironclad. Ellen filed new charges: first-degree murder for Patricia's husband, attempted murder for me, conspiracy to commit fraud spanning a decade. Derek gave names, dates, bank accounts, everything. The trial was set for 3 months out, but Patricia's lawyer tried one more desperate move. He contacted Ellen with a plea offer. "Mrs. Carter will plead guilty to fraud and accept 15 years in exchange for dropping the murder charges." Ellen called me immediately. "What do you think? 15 years. She's 72. She'd be out in her late 80s if she even lives that long." "True, but if we go to trial, there's always a chance she walks. Juries are unpredictable. She's sympathetic, looking a good actress. Her lawyer will paint Derek as the mastermind, and her as a naive mother protecting her son. She murdered her husband. She tried to murder me. I know, and I think we can prove it. But there's risk, Madison. Do you want guaranteed prison time, or do you want to gamble on life in prison? I thought about it for 2 days. Talked to Rachel, to my father, to Detective Martinez. Everyone had opinions, but ultimately the choice was mine. We go to trial, I decided. I want a jury to hear what she did. I want her exposed for what she is, and I want life in prison, not 15 years. The trial started on a cold morning in November, 5 months after my wedding day. The courthouse was packed with reporters, victims, spectators. Patricia sat at the defense table looking frail and confused, the perfect performance of an elderly woman being persecuted. Ellen's opening statement was powerful. She walked the jury through everything: the pattern of cons, the dead husband, the arsenic, the recording. She played Patricia's voice, confessing to fraud, and I watched the jury's faces change as they heard it. Then Hendricks stood for the defense, and he was equally powerful. He painted Derek as a master manipulator who'd fooled even his own mother. He suggested I'd fabricated evidence out of revenge. He showed photos of Patricia volunteering at a soup kitchen, donating to charity, leading her church group. "This is not the face of a killer," he said. "This is a woman who made poor choices trusting her son, but who never intended harm to anyone." The first week of trial was brutal. Witness after witness testified to Patricia's kindness, her generosity, her devotion to Derek. Her lawyer built a narrative of a mother who'd been deceived by her own child. Then Ellen called Carol, Derek's first wife. She testified about how Patricia had befriended her, gathered information, set her up for Derek's con. Then Jennifer, the second wife, with an identical story. Then 3 more women who'd been targeted but escaped before losing everything. By the end of week 2, the jury was starting to look skeptical of Patricia's innocent grandmother act. Then came Derek's testimony. The courtroom was silent as he walked to the stand, took the oath, and sat down. Ellen walked him through everything: his childhood, Patricia's training, the cons they'd run together, then the arsenic. "Tell the jury what your mother said to you after Madison was hospitalized," Ellen prompted. Derek's voice shook. She said, "I told you I'd take care of it. The girl was getting suspicious. Another few weeks and she'd have ruined everything. Now she's out of the picture and we can move on to the next one." Patricia's face remained calm, but I saw her hands clench in her lap. "Did you understand what she meant by take care of it?" Ellen asked. "Yes, she meant the poison. She'd been talking about it for weeks, saying Madison was a problem, saying she needed to be handled." "And what did you say?" "I told her she was insane, that poisoning someone was murder, not a con. She laughed at me, said it wasn't murder if nobody could prove it, said she'd done it before and gotten away with it." "Done it before to who?" "My father. She told me she'd put arsenic in his food for weeks, small doses making him sick gradually so it looked natural, then one big dose at the end to finish it." The courtroom erupted. The judge gavelled for order. Patricia's lawyer jumped up objecting, but Ellen had the proof ready. Hospital records showing Patricia's husband's symptoms consistent with arsenic poisoning. The cremation she'd insisted on preventing autopsy. The life insurance policies she'd taken out months before. It took 3 weeks. But finally closing arguments came. Ellen was brilliant, weaving together every piece of evidence into an undeniable narrative of a woman who'd killed and conned for decades. Hendricks fought hard, but he had nothing. No evidence, no credible defense, just Patricia's performance of innocence. The jury deliberated for 2 days. When they came back, the forewoman stood. On the charge of first-degree murder in the death of Richard Carter, we find the defendant guilty. Patricia's face finally cracked. On the charge of attempted murder of Madison Hayes, we find the defendant guilty. She turned to look at me, and there was pure hatred in her eyes. On all charges of conspiracy to commit fraud, we find the defendant guilty. Patricia Carter was convicted on every count. Sentencing came 3 weeks later. Life in prison without parole for the murder. 25 years for attempted murder. 10 years for each fraud count running consecutively. The judge looked at Patricia without sympathy. "Mrs. Carter, you are a danger to society. You have shown no remorse, no accountability, and no humanity. I hope you spend the rest of your life reflecting on the pain you've caused." Patricia was led away in handcuffs, and I finally felt like I could breathe. The divorce from Derek was finalized a month later. I kept the condo, kept my name, kept everything that was mine. Derek went to prison for 8 years and signed away any right to contact me ever again. Life slowly returned to normal, or a new version of normal. I went back to work, back to my condo, back to living without looking over my shoulder every second. 6 months after the trial, Nathan called. "I know you said you needed time. Has enough time passed for that coffee?" I thought about it, thought about trust and fear and the risk of opening up again. "Yes," I said. "Coffee sounds good." We met at the same coffee shop where Derek and I had met, and for a moment I almost turned around and left. Too many memories, too much history. But then I saw Nathan sitting at a table smiling when he saw me, and something in my chest loosened. "Hey," he said, "you made it." I almost didn't. "I'm glad you did." We talked for 3 hours, about engineering, about Atlanta traffic, about terrible movies and good books. Normal conversation, no manipulation, no agenda. When he walked me to my car, he said, "I'd like to do this again, only if you're ready, no pressure." I'd like that too. It took time, months of slow, careful dating, months of Nathan proving he was exactly who he seemed to be, a genuinely kind man with no hidden agenda. Months of learning to trust again. A year after my disastrous wedding, Nathan proposed, simple, honest, in his apartment after dinner. "Madison, I love you. I've loved you since that first engineering meeting when you explained thermodynamics and made it sound like poetry. Will you marry me?" I looked at him, this good man offering me a real future, and I realized something. Derek hadn't broken me. Patricia hadn't destroyed my ability to love. That night under the bed hadn't ruined me. It had saved me. "Yes," I said. "Yes, I'll marry you." We got married on a beach with 20 people present. Rachel was my maid of honor. My father walked me down the aisle. Nathan's mother cried happy tears that weren't fake, and when Nathan lifted my veil and kissed me, I felt nothing but joy. Pure, uncomplicated joy. The wedding night, we went back to our hotel room, and Nathan said, "No pranks, right? Nobody hiding under beds." I laughed, really laughed. "No pranks. I learned my lesson about hiding under beds." What lesson was that? That sometimes the worst moments lead to the best outcomes. That night under the bed destroyed my life, but it also saved it. It showed me who Derek really was before I wasted years with him. It led me to you. Nathan pulled me close. Then I'm grateful for that bed, for that prank, for everything that brought you here. We danced in our hotel room to music from his phone, and I thought about how far I'd traveled from that terrified girl hiding under a bed in a wedding dress. I'd survived betrayal, survived poisoning, survived a trial and a divorce and months of fear, and I'd come out stronger, wiser, more cautious, yes, but also more certain of what I deserved. I deserved honesty. I deserved kindness. I deserved love that didn't come with conditions or calculations. I deserved Nathan. 6 months into our marriage, I got a letter from Derek. He'd violated the no-contact order, but I read it anyway. "Madison, I know I have no right to write to you, but I needed you to know that you changed my life. Seeing you fight back, seeing you refuse to be a victim, it woke something up in me. I'm in therapy here, real therapy, working through everything my mother did to me, all the ways she twisted me. I'll never forgive myself for what I did to you, but I'm trying to become someone who wouldn't do those things again. Thank you for being strong enough to fight. Thank you for putting my mother away. Thank you for saving my life too, in a way. I hope you're happy. You deserve happiness more than anyone I've ever known." I showed the letter to Nathan. He violated the restraining order. We could report it. "Do you want to—" I thought about it then, tore the letter in half. "No. Let him have his therapy. Let him become whoever he's trying to become. It doesn't affect me anymore." And it didn't. Derek was my past. Patricia was locked away. That night under the bed was a story I told, sometimes usually with humor, always with the acknowledgement that it had been the strangest, worst, best thing that ever happened to me. Nathan and I bought a house in the suburbs. I made partner at my engineering firm. We adopted a dog named Murphy who slept at the foot of our bed and made hiding under it impossible, even if I'd wanted to. Life moved forward. 3 years after my first wedding, Rachel called with news. Patricia died. Heart attack in prison. She was 75. I felt nothing. No relief, no satisfaction, no grief. Just nothing. "Okay," I said. "Thanks for telling me." That's it. Just okay. What else is there to say? She made her choices. She paid for them. It's over. And it was over. Really, truly over. That night, Nathan asked if I was okay if I needed to talk about it. I'm fine. She was already gone from my life. Her being dead doesn't change anything. You're amazing. You know that most people wouldn't have survived what you went through, wouldn't have fought back the way you did. I didn't have a choice. You did. You could have run, could have given up, could have let them destroy you. But you fought. You're the strongest person I know. I kissed him, grateful for this man who saw my strength instead of my damage. 5 years after hiding under that bed, I was happy, really, genuinely happy. I had a career I loved, a husband who cherished me, a home filled with laughter and safety and trust. Sometimes people asked about my first marriage, having heard rumors or seen old news articles. I'd tell them the truth, straight and simple. I hid under the bed to prank my husband on our wedding night. Instead, I overheard his mother planning to defraud me and possibly kill me. I recorded everything, went to the police, and helped put them both in prison. Then I divorced him, married someone actually decent, and lived happily ever after. They'd stare in disbelief, waiting for the punchline. I'm serious, I'd say. Every word is true. Because it was true. All of it. The nightmare and the triumph, the betrayal and the justice, the fear and the freedom that came after. That night under the bed changed everything. It destroyed the life I thought I wanted and gave me the life I actually needed. It taught me that I was stronger than I'd ever imagined, braver than I'd known, and worth fighting for. Derek had thought I was a mark, an easy target, a naive girl who'd hand over everything without a fight. Patricia had thought I was weak, controllable, disposable. They'd both been wrong. I was Madison Hayes' engineer survivor fighter. I'd hidden under a bed in a wedding dress and discovered a plot against me. I'd recorded the confession that brought down a murderer. I'd survived poisoning and testified until justice was served. And then I'd moved on. I'd healed. I'd loved again. That's the story I want people to know. Not just the horror of what happened, but the victory of what came after. The night under the bed didn't end with tragedy. It ended with me standing tall, free, and unbroken. That night was supposed to be the beginning of my marriage to Derek Carter. Instead, it became the beginning of my life as someone who refused to be a victim, who demanded better, who knew her worth. Years later, when my daughter asks how I met her father, I tell her about the coffee shop and the engineering blueprints and the slow, careful building of real love. But when she's older, when she's ready to understand, I'll tell her the whole story. About the bed, the recording, the trial, everything. And I'll tell her the most important lesson I learned, that sometimes the worst moments of your life are actually gifts in disguise, showing you truths you needed to see, giving you strength you didn't know you had, leading you toward the life you were always meant to live. I hid under a bed to play a prank, and I discovered a nightmare. But I also discovered myself, and that discovery was worth everything.